Jimmy, I love you so much.
Welcome to the Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast. Why would I say that? Welcome to Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast. I set myself up in a way that sentence had no good way to end. Welcome to the Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast show. For September 10th, today marks 56 days to the election, and we're here to talk about the polls, the politics, and other things happening in the news. This show can be supported at patreon.com/Jimmy Snow. That's really the people who are bringing it to you here today. And patrons get the show always ad-free, plus get the extended episodes after the show where we play around, we have some fun, we do some things with our guest hosts. This podcast is leftist, it's godless, it's dairy and bullshit free, just like me. And joining me today is a wonderful musician, one hell of a content creator. She is Eve Was Framed. Hi, Eve.
Wow, that was like the nicest intro ever. Also, I was completely thrown off by the Trump, and that was fucking hilarious. So
I wanted to throw you off. I was hoping that it would like set everything into a mood. I'd play it again, but the way this thing works, if I do, it'll actually cut off the music. It'll come back later. I'm going to add it to my soundboard also.
It definitely set the mood for the day. It's a good way to start things off.
Good. That was the intent. You can find Eve as Eve Was Framed on Instagram, TikTok, anywhere else we should know?
Facebook. I mean, I don't know that you should know that because it's a dark place right now, but over there. I think I'm on Threads. I don't know where I am, but I am on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm on this show called The Line sometimes. So
I was just going to say, my favorite place to find Eve is as the host of the the show's always on Tuesdays, but often the host of the Tuesday show, Chewed Gum, on The Line. That's at youtube.com/@Q&A line. I almost said it wrong. Almost sent people to a different channel. That would have been awful.
Awkward.
At Q&A line. And I imagine if you just type Chewed Gum into YouTube, surely we must have dominated the SEO for that term.
I think that we definitely dominate that.
Yeah, I will be devastated to find out anything else. Also, if you have a comment, some sort of question you want to ask, some sort of beration you want to issue me, you can call the podcast voicemail 1-833-SNOWPOD. Originally was going to use this as a question of the day line, but I'm going to wait until we've gotten a little more established, have a little bit of more of a flow, because I'm going to be honest, we did it last week and all of the submissions we got were stupid. And if you were one of those people, I just want you to know what you said was stupid.
Oh my God.
And I think you knew that when you said it, because there weren't any real good serious ones. But we're just getting started. So 1-833-SNOWPOD, that's 1-833-766-9763. As our music comes to an end and fades out, this intro comes to an end and fades out, we are going to get on to the news, and we're trying things out. It's going to be fun. Those of you who are here early and see like how the segments evolve, how the show changes, and how we do things a little bit different. Because this week, I've decided to reintroduce how we're going to do the news. Before we started with our like main news stories, and then there was like a little at the end, like here's some of the other news you don't know. But I actually think the quicker like short news stories things should be toward the beginning. And to make it fun, we're going to play a little game. We're going to call this segment Upvote, Downvote. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to present Eve with some titles to some stories, but here's the twist. These titles are going to be deliberately oversimplified and stripped of any nuance. Then Eve is going to vote. She's going to either upvote it or downvote it. Here's an example. Let's say there was a story about a cow wandering on a highway and, some crazy stuff happened. I might present Eve with a title like Fat Mama Blocks Traffic with Her Big Ass. And Eve, on that basis, would have to upvote or downvote it. Then I will reveal the actual story, and we'll see how good she is at judging a book by its cover. Do you love this idea?
I actually do, because it brings me back to my Reddit days when I was obsessed with Reddit. But I'm confused. Am I upvoting because I like the headline, or because I want to hear more, or like I'm overthinking this. What does an upvote do?
Reddit. It's like Reddit. Okay. You're judging the book by its cover, just by the title, whether or not by the title, you're essentially saying good or
Give me
bad,
more.
positive, negative. I dig this. Is it meant to trick you a little bit?
Okay.
Sometimes, maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
I'm excited.
We'll try it out. All right.
I'm really excited.
Story number 1. A whole bunch of nerds make economic minority pay out. What would you do with that one?
Say that again.
A whole bunch of nerds make an economic minority pay out. I might add the word ass to the end. A whole bunch of nerds made an economic minority of people pay out the ass.
Okay. I'm going to hope that this economic minority are billionaires. And so don't make that face at me now. You're confusing me. And I'm going to upvote it.
You're upvoting it. You have very good instincts. The IRS announced this week that they have recovered $1.3 billion from very wealthy tax dodgers, people who are millionaires or above who have been withholding their payments, hiding their payments. And they have recovered $1.3 billion with that initiative that the Republicans basically melted down over and acted like this was going to end the economy in our country. Turns out you should tax millionaires and billionaires.
Big surprise.
Good job with the upvote there.
Thank you.
It's already so fun.
This is great. Now I'm going to overthink it even further, though. It's going to get worse.
I had this idea the other day and was just like, now I think what you're going to do, though, is if it sounds bad, I should upvote it. If it sounds good, I should downvote. But I accounted.
No,
those would be the instincts.
I'm going to use my critical thinking skills and look for the nuance in these things.
All right. Well, so far, you've got 1 out of 1 point. If you get a majority of the points, more than half, nothing happens.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
Your luck will go unchanged for 7 years.
Okay. Well, that's good, actually. That's
if you can
guarantee that, then
yeah. The luck is great. As far as you know.
As far as I know.
It seems like your luck is good right now. It could be that everything's falling apart and you just don't even know about that behind this. Anyway, no changes to your luck for 7 years.
Okay.
As a result of getting the majority of the points. Story number 2, Florida man fired after awkward exposure incident. Florida man fired after an awkward exposure incident. And I'm going to take this opportunity to also tell Eve the rule of podcasting is you don't think silently.
Yeah, sorry. I keep forgetting. I'm used to always having video.
Yeah.
For those that can't see me right now, I am very confused. Florida man fired after... Fuck it. Let's downvote.
We're downvoting. Well, here is the story. I think that you're going to agree this maybe was worthy of an upvote. James Gaddis, a Florida state employee, was fired by Ron DeSantis after leaking plans for controversial development in state parks, including golf courses and hotels, citing environmental concerns and secrecy surrounding the project. So Ron DeSantis has literally fired a whistleblower for blowing a whistle.
I messed up.
Florida man doesn't like to get blown by another Florida man. A little bit more details.
That's the headline you should have gone with.
There you go. Doesn't like to get blown by other Florida. I feel like that one you would have known. Florida's Department of Environmental Protection has fired a whistleblower who exposed and sank Governor Ron DeSantis. I included this quote, but I didn't include where it's from. Anyway, the whole thing, they terminated him for conduct unbecoming a public employee. This was from the letter he had received about it. He was leaking proposals that had a furious backlash from the Republicans, but united the Democrats and environmental advocates, and forced DeSantis into a humiliating climb down last week in which he admitted the plans were half-baked and were going to the drawing board. Basically, DeSantis wants to build a bunch of hotels, golf courses and stuff on like protected environmental land that is an important part of the ecosystem. Are you ready for number 3?
I guess we'll see. Now I'm doubting myself and my skills. So we'll
never
find out.
Doubt yourself.
This will be the thing that says if I'm getting better or worse at this.
Hey, could you turn your gain up? No, never mind. I'll deal with it in post. I don't want to change it. I don't want to change it now because it'd be easier for me to fix in post. Leave it completely. I was just realizing that you're quite quiet, but now that's already that way. I should have done all of this before the show. But we were gabbing. We were gabbing as girlfriends, as we always do.
Always.
Love the straight hair, girl. You cut it. Hell yeah. I think
I didn't cut it. It's actually growing. But I've been wearing it up all the time. So that's why.
I'm growing mine out. I think you're a little longer than me.
Just barely. But if we flat ironed yours, it might be
Your bangs are
around.
definitely longer than mine. Mine only go down.
My
to like,
bangs? I just cut them.
Mine will go down
Wait.
to my lip.
Wait.
Is mine longer then? Maybe
Look,
they are.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Look
yeah.
at that.
All right.
Look at that. Now I have to fix
fair
my
enough.
hair. It's okay.
I stand corrected. The last time I cut my hair, this is how it has naturally grown from completely bald. I've done no trimming to it yet.
That's amazing.
Anything.
That's very impressive.
It's been a total, reset.
Also, this is how Jimmy and I's conversations usually go. We talk about really important, groundbreaking events, and then we're like, whose bangs are longer?
Yep.
You know?
Yep. People are going to misinterpret that. And I insist it's me. If anything, I take too long. It frustrates my partners. My bangs are longer. 3, the voice.
That's so bad.
The voice of the Bible and Luke's papa goes silent forever. Upvote, downvote.
Oh, well, I mean, upvote his memory and downvote that it happened. But also he was, 94 or something?
93 years
I don't
old,
know.
James Earl Jones.
This is just like one big sad, heart emoji.
Sure.
For me, which is not an option, but.
Died on Monday at the age of 93. It's tough. I don't, the main thing that I don't care that much when celebrities die. And 93, I'm not going to make it to 93.
Right, yeah. I mean, not to agree with you on that, but that's a good age, yeah.
And a pretty scandal-free celebrity. So 93 years of the greatest life you can have. Obviously known for Star Wars, The Lion King, Hunt for Red October, Field of Dreams. The guy had the best life.
Yeah.
Is it sad? I don't know.
And his voice will live on forever in all these very, very famous sound bites. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Again, one of which being the Bible. He is the official voice of the Bible. He's got the
Somebody
most famous audio Bible book. In my kingdom, I can't do a voice like his.
I mean, good to have Darth Vader and
mansions.
Scar. Or did he didn't play Scar's voice. He played Mufasa's voice, right?
He was Mufasa.
Mufasa, yeah.
Everything the light touches. Story number 4. I don't even know which one that with a correct answer would have been. Upvote is tribute, I suppose. You would upvote it because you would want more people to see it for sure.
Yes, there we go. And I know what you're talking about. So
story number 4. Underwater bathrooms modified to improve segregation.
Underwater bathrooms
modified to improve segregation. Underwater.
This is so bizarre that I have to upvote it. So.
Okay, good. I think that's right. The Navy just added their first gender integrated specialized submarine this week, meaning that they have adjusted and changed this according to, I forgot to put the sources on all of these. Let's just say CNN. Modifications included obvious ones, more doors and washrooms to create separate sleeping and bathing areas, and some that are more subtle. I think this part's hilarious because I already can see in advance what toxic right-wing men are going to complain about.
Oh,
and this will be it. Lowering some overhead valves and making them easier to turn and installing steps in front of the triple high bunk beds and stacked laundry machines. I know they're going to complain about making the valves easier to turn, as though if you can do that with engineering, you shouldn't just do that for the big, strong men. No, real men should be made weary as they turn their valves. But
keep things difficult so I can prove I'm a man.
Also, I think it's funny that they had to lower any overhead valves. First of all, if you've ever been in a submarine, they're very tight spaces. I can't stand straight up in most of the areas of a submarine. They're very, very cramped.
No, I don't like it.
And I think it's funny that they had to lower them anyway, because listen, I think there are lots of very lovely, we'll call them short kings out there, but I'm also aware of many not lovely, short, not kings who make their, we'll say, insecurity about their height everybody else's problem. And I'd say 1 in 3 of them join the military. So I would have assumed
that they'd be happy about this.
Or that the valves would already have been lower. How are they that high in the first place? And to tell you the truth, also, aren't usually the women who join the military kind of taller? Like the tip, not all.
I wonder
of them,
what the stats are on that. Who knows?
I feel like there's a disproportionate amount of representation between short men and tall women in the military. That's my suspicion.
We need to do some research and find out.
Forgive me if there's any bigotry in there for short and tall people. I don't know. As a tall man myself, though, we are better than you all. That's not true. I'm better than you because I'm autistic, not because I'm tall. Anyway, I thought that was a clever title. Underwater bathrooms modified to improve segregation.
That was very good.
Gender segregation, integrated submarines, but segregated bathrooms, bedrooms, all that sort of things. Okay, here we go. Story number 5. Big cocks near Vegas flee burning sensations.
Oh my God.
I actually wrote dicks, but in the moment, cocks felt like the stronger choice.
That was the stronger choice.
Big cocks near
you just
Vegas
went right
flee
into
burning
that
sensations.
sentence. Just no easing into it at all.
I will tell you, this one's the most literal. I am representing a group by their penises, just so you know. Big cocks near Vegas flee burning sensations.
About this.
Yeah. Upvote, downvote. Which would you do? She loves to think silently.
Let me. Oh, sorry. I'm stressing you out. You're messing with my podcast.
No. It's my responsibility to fill it.
No. Let's see.
Here, I can give you another moment.
I don't want to seem like I'm upvoting
Jimmy,
just because
I love you so much. Jimmy,
how many of these do you need? There you go.
Like 3. That's
upvote really it. Trump, by the way. That's not my impression. That's a real soundbite of Trump from this week.
Talking about you specifically.
I imagine I'm the Jimmy. We'll actually get into what he actually is talking about in that audio here in a little bit.
I'm going to upvote it because let's just upvote it.
Residents near a wildfire south of Reno, Nevada were joined on major roads by other evacuees. Impromptu herds of horses also trying to get away from the fire and the smoke. You can find that video online. Man. It's actually pretty cool. I'm curious, are the horses now like free, not just liberated? Could I just go take them? Could I go take a few
liberated horses? What would a liberated horse be?
Well, they've clearly been, I assume what happened, because I've heard of this happening before, and having worked on a ranch before, I know it's kind of protocol that if some sort of disaster like that is coming and you can't rescue them yourself, they do tend to just open the gates and let the horses at least have a shot at surviving that way. And so they look very healthy. They're clearly domesticated horses. You can kind of tell by their shape and size and stuff. They're clearly domesticated. How do you get them back? Are they all chipped? Are they GPS tracked? All of them? And couldn't I have a machine to figure out which ones weren't? I just think that there's a lot of really high quality, good, free horses traveling by herd through Reno, Nevada.
That should be the next podcast episode, is you trying to go find one of these good quality horses.
I need a horse to do it from. I think you'd be very impressed. I've literally wrangled cattle before.
That is impressive.
I've not wrangled horses. Bison, but it could be fun.
You can wrangle a bison, I feel like you can wrangle
horses are, I mean, by wrangle, I don't mean I didn't lasso it. I guided it with another horse.
Just on a horse with your lasso.
Cowboy.
Yes.
Cowboy hat.
Really just going after these bison and lassoing a bison.
Lassoing. I'd never lassoed a thing.
Okay.
I've held a lasso and I tried to, but I couldn't even get the motion down right for you. No, you're just guiding.
It looks like you know how to lasso. Just keep trying.
This is more of a thing I do in country bars than from the horseback. Bars. Oh, I've been in a lot of country bars. When you own spurs, you're gonna need to do. I actually never wore spurs either. I don't know why I said that. I wouldn't wear spurs. It's so cruel. Piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh,
Resource hoarders shot into space.
Upvote.
I mean, maybe. It doesn't. It's really either way. It doesn't matter.
Is this a benign headline?
Yeah. SpaceX has, this according to space.com, launches Polaris Dawn astronauts to attempt world's first ever private spacewalk. So on the one hand, I would almost downvote it because I'm like, a billionaire went to space with 3 other people who at least deserve to be there to do a commercial spacewalk because they can, because that's what they spend their money on. It's not really going to benefit anybody but him. It's,
Yeah.
Victory for Elon Musk. So you all are aware. I just want to make sure you heard it here first. Eve was framed endorsing and upvoting Musk victory.
No, I just like when people go to space. I think it's cool.
Space is cool.
Yeah.
It's empty though.
Sarah
and I talked about this last week.
I know.
Which one you heard the whole thing, right?
I did.
So
I am a fan of the Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast. So.
Which team are you on? Would you rather be stuck in space or stuck in the ocean?
Oh, I mean, obviously neither, but it's
how you'll meet your end either way, but you get to choose.
If I'm going to die anyways, then yeah, absolutely space, because as you said, you go unconscious so quick. It's like done. Oh yeah. Don't die.
I feel like you have more of a choice too. Like if in her scenario, you were in a suit. So it's like, all right, cool. Anytime I want, just open up the helmet, take it off, and then it's done. You pass out very, very fast.
There's something kind of exciting about like being out there in the open with the stars and everything right before you're gone forever. So, and just the ocean, like, no, thank you. I already don't like swimming in a pool. So I definitely don't want to be in an ocean with God knows what. So.
Right. That's the thing. That was what I brought up to her. Most of the life in the world is below you and you don't see any of it.
Right.
You might feel it tickle you. I remember I went in the ocean when I was 11 and either a crab or a lobster or something with pincers pinched my toe. And that was like at the beach. And I don't want to go back now because of getting a little toe pinch from an unseen, it might not have, maybe it was what is it called? A sand flea. I don't know what it was, but something pinched me.
The fact that you don't know what it was is the scary part. So
yeah, didn't bleed, but I got pinched.
Yeah.
And I've never been fond of that. And I've been pretty bitter about it for a long time.
I always do the shuffle when I go in the ocean, like, where you walk, like where you don't lift your feet up so that if there's something in front of you, it goes away.
Got it. I thought maybe it was to cover up that there were two sets of tracks.
And then where Jesus picked me up and there was just one.
I've got to know if people are still telling that story in churches, because no one fails to understand what story you're referring to, no matter who it is. So,
where I see it the most is when you go to someone's house, like hanging in their bathroom, they have the like footprints in the sand frame. But I saw in the last few years, like a non-religious version. I don't remember, like somebody had redone it. It still wasn't cool at all, but it was something about like a friend or some, they took Jesus out of the equation. And I thought it was going to be a joke. Like this story is not that good already. So why do we need to like repeat it and remove Jesus? Like just remove the story.
The story. There's just the imagination. For me growing up Mormon, not only did I hear it from other members, because they don't do your typical church service where it's like a preacher who is a professional preacher is the one teaching. Each week, members of the congregation are tasked with giving a talk.
That's interesting.
It's terrible. It's like the worst shit. And then the first Sunday of every month, they do basically Mormon open mic. And that's actually can be fun if you're in a place where things can kind of go off the rails and people can start saying things that are not doctrine, but they're like burying their testimony to it. I'm writing a book right now, and in one of the first chapters, I talk about when I first started having doubts was in reaction to a woman in the congregation. I'm not going to spoil it all here. Actually, it would just take too long, but a woman in the congregation basically telling the story of a homeless man secretly living in their house, but helping out with chores and stuff and playing with their kids at times. And that was a blessing, not a nightmare.
What the fuck?
And the story ends with me, like, I catch eyes with my dad because we've sort of had similar thoughts on it. Like, wow, she's crazy. But then I look around the rest of the room and people are tearing up on her side of this. And I'm like, that was the first time I remember. Again, probably 14 years old. The first time I went, oh no, this could be bullshit. And I immediately was like, praying to God, begging for forgiveness, that I said bullshit and that I doubted anything. Like that was how those memory is strong, probably because of that moment where I, just like the time in second grade, I accidentally said, "Oh my God," and Mormons don't say, "Oh my God." And I immediately was like, "Oh, please, Heavenly Father, please forgive me. I did not mean to say that. I'm so sorry." Sad. Yeah.
That was me, my whole childhood and teenhood as well.
Just praying all the time for forgiveness.
Yep. Well, an atheist now will be like, do you still say, "Oh my God"? I'm like, what do you mean do I still? I never said it before. And now I definitely say it because I wasn't allowed to. So
it's also, it's a cultural thing. I feel freed by saying it.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I say that multiple times a day. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And to tell you the truth, that I'm sorry, people, if you weren't prepared for how spicy this podcast would get after talking about the length of my bangs. Did you not know? I love the phrase Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, that's good. My partner says Jesus or Christ, and sometimes he says Jesus and Christ. So he'll be like Jesus or Christ, and I'm like, which one? And then
have you been watching my Threads game lately? Because it's getting good.
I don't know if I've seen it the last. I mean, I usually see your threads, and then
somebody wrote Jesus is Lord, not a swear word. So I quote tweeted it with just, "I saw Jesus fucking Christ." And then today really someone wrote, "Rule number 1, never make God number 2." So I just wrote the phrase, "Don't make a poop joke, don't make a poop joke, don't make a poop joke," over and over and over again.
That's so good.
Rule number 1.
Threads is just kind of like asking for that stuff. It's so, I don't know about you, but it's really good about inserting that stuff into my feed for me too, where I can be like, oh, let me say something rude back to this.
Well, it needs to insert more of me into your thread. Start hitting like more, and I
do. I usually do.
It'll put it on there. I didn't listen. Now. I heard it, and I know someone's going to point it out. I didn't love the way it sounded either.
I wanted to laugh, but I was like, is that inappropriate if I think that's funny?
No, I'm relieved that you both noticed and thought it was funny.
We're friends. It's funny. It's really funny.
It made me feel weird. I also did the other day a thread where, so I get really annoyed. You can see the character limits, they're pretty long on threads. I think it's even longer than a tweet can be. But people will do this thing where they break up something that could fit into one thread into multiple, because if you do that ... 1 of 3 and you leave a little cliffhanger, it will, people reward you for it. The algorithm rewards you. And now that I'm monetized on threads, I'm looking for those rewards all the time. But I decided to be really annoying about it and do like a really dumb one, thinking people would see through this and be like, ha, Jimmy, nope. I was so rewarded for doing it. Literally like one of my best performing threads with hundreds of likes on each segment of it. And so this was it. I wrote, "I just accidentally put on a contact lens over another contact lens. And what happened next was not at all what I was expecting. I was able to see ... 1 of 3. Again, I haven't even used 20% of my character limit, but I've broken it to a second comment. 589 hearts on that.
I'm looking at it now. That's wild.
Here's the second part of the story. "Into the very fabric of time and space." It was supposed to be, "and the universe revealed all of its secrets to me. I'm sorry to tell everyone, but there is no God. However, it turns out that there is ... 2 of 3, and an afterlife. It's a giant high school cafeteria, but it only serves vegan hot dogs and Fresca. You must enjoy your life now because hell awaits us all."
That's amazing.
I really thought that people would call this out as clear clickbait dog shit. And yet it performed very well. I did come clean with it. Like literally 3 hours later, I posted a photo of the thread and how it's performing. It was like, I made this to be annoying with the way people break up their threads as a type of clickbait. And of course, 3 hours in, I'm being rewarded to do so. Because at that point, I mean, threads, you don't get tons of hearts. So 500 to 600 was already a lot for me. The performance of my threads, which is that maybe like an average one might get a few hundred views, but maybe one a day will get a couple thousand, was enough to get me monetized on threads. That's amazing. That type of engagement is happening there. So again, one of my best performing threads, I made it to annoy you and you rewarded me.
That's so great. Now I want to try that. Also, I got so scared because I did see this thread. I keep calling them tweets, but this thread of yours on Sunday. And it says, you know, if you have a good reason to believe in God, call us and share it. And it's like the link to the Sunday show After Dark. And it's a picture of you and I. And I'm sitting there like, shit, I'm supposed to be on the show right now. But then I realized it's just wrong.
I don't know why, because that's how it shows for me as well, but it doesn't for others. So I think that Arden, when she put up the event, duplicated ours and then changed the stuff, but had maybe saved first. And somehow the cookie of the original is like stuck. So were you afraid that you had forgotten you were supposed to be on with me?
Yes, I had a heart attack. I'm sitting there. We had friends over for dinner and I was like, oh my God. And it said like live now, you know, like you can click. And I was like, Jimmy's just sitting there probably like, what the fuck? Like, Eve. And
I would say
that lasted 5 seconds. And I was like, clearly there's a glitch here. And then I realized, but I had a full panic moment.
Let me preface this by saying Eric is wonderful. He's a very good host and I love his style, but not every style is complimentary.
Sure.
And I would say he and I have non-complimentary styles. And as I was doing the show yesterday, I was like, oh, I wasn't bad. He was great. But it was going to be one of those things where both of our techniques take kind of a long time to do. And because they're different, they basically have to happen separately. They don't happen together. But that's why I messaged you and was like, I wish you were just always my co-host. Because I'm pretty sure of the Colin show partners, I think you and I have the most compatible, can do at the same time styles of everybody there. Well. For me, other people. I mean, you have even more chemistry with Alyssa, and I'll always be very...
Well, you get credit for that because you did matchmake us, so it's amazing.
That show's happening tonight, people.
It is. Watch. It is happening tonight.
We should probably go back to the podcast.
Well, yeah, we probably should. Will this podcast be out today?
Yeah.
Yes, lovely.
I'll probably start working on it while we film the after show for the patrons, which is at patreon.com/Jimmy Snow. Anyway, let's check in with the news, and it's mostly going to be related to sort of the politics of the moment, as we're going to be doing a lot in the days that lead up. But we're definitely talking about Donald Trump and the crazy shit that the crazy updates from this week, which were somehow strangely more unhinged than normal, and yet also just run like kind of the shit that happens.
Right.
We'll take a look at the polls as well and talk about the debate, which the debate is tonight. There's a chance I'll do a special extra show this week if there's something worth covering. Otherwise, we'll talk about it on Friday's show. By the way, I don't think I've actually said this out loud on the podcast. We're aiming for releases of Tuesdays and Fridays. Generally,
I was about to say, I didn't know what your release schedule is. So
what the schedule is.
That's exciting.
Yep. Taking a look at the polls across, here is what is really discouraging. And I think you're going to find it discouraging. I think just me telling you what I'm about to tell you is discouraging, probably is making you feel like shit. And I'm sorry that I summoned you here.
Can't wait for this. Thanks for starting my week off with whatever this news is about to be.
Just you're here to feel like shit. You're welcome.
I think I know what it's going to be, but let's
The polls are tightening. And Harris's lead is tightening over Trump. You can take a look at the three different places that I checked the most, 270 to win. The Real Clear polling, RCP polling, because they do tend to lean a little bit more right, but I like to know what they have. They include more right-leaning polls, so it does tend to lean a little more right. But keep in mind that traditionally, you need a larger gap as a Democrat to win, because you have to win the Electoral College, not the popular vote. I don't think there's a world in which Harris doesn't win the popular vote. I don't think even Republicans think Harris is not going to win. The only person who might think they'll win it is Donald Trump, because Donald Trump allegedly believes he actually won the popular vote against Hillary Clinton in 2016. And despite setting up a commission to go and find the 5 million illegal votes that were cast in California to prove he actually won the popular vote as well as the Electoral College, and them coming back and going, so it turns out if we adjust for fraud, more votes actually go to Hillary. Fraud benefited you. And it was only a few dozen. And that's how it always is. There's only ever a few dozen cases, but it's funny how they tend to lean Republican, the fraud cases, what ones do exist. Anyway, they couldn't find shit.
Yeah, that is very disappointing news. And I will say, compared to a couple months ago, where we're at.
Yeah.
I still am in a more hopeful place about everything.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, back in
still not great.
Back in July, before Biden's announcement,
Right.
the polling of would you vote for the two of them were basically completely tied. They were complete, but there's been a steady gap. She's had a lead as much as about 4 points. Usually when you look at the 538 polling right now, it's only about 2.8. You see a lot of the betting odds changing in the places that are gambling on it and stuff. And unfortunately, some things are starting to favor that he could potentially pull it off. Now, if you actually go and you look at individual state polls, it's harder to tell. And I'm really, really hoping that what's going to happen is abortions on the ballot in some important places and some states that we thought there's no way we could win, we end up winning. And the main one I'm looking at is Florida. Florida right now is considered the, I think, 8th most competitive state, but is not considered a swing state. It's considered a leans red state. Not that it's not up for grab, but a leans red. Let me see if I've got the number right on this.
But their abortion laws are horrific. So if people can get motivated by that, then that would be really helpful.
6-week ban. So not 8th, 9th. I was off by 1, and I do apologize. I will lash myself after the show. It is in fact the 8th. The 8th state that is most competitive is a swing state. In other words, it's only a difference of 1 from going to a swing state to a leans red. Right now, Trump allegedly has a 4% lead in Florida, which one would have thought that was honestly bigger. But keep in mind that because of how Ron DeSantis handled the pandemic, 1 million, mostly baby boomers, died. And they vote Republican. But also, they have tried to institute a 6-week abortion ban, and now a right to an abortion as a constitutional amendment for Florida is on their ballot, as well as legal weed is on their ballot.
Nice.
So 2 ballot initiatives that have the potential, because a lot of times when you look state by state, even states that we consider solidly red often, like Texas, if you actually just change the percentage of people who registered to vote and didn't show up. In other words, for Democrats, if you look at Texas, there were a number of people who registered to vote. You have to do it every election, or you have to renew it they basically said, I intend to vote this election, and were registered Democrats, and then didn't. It would have taken only 20% of those people who didn't show up, who did register, to flip the state for Joe Biden back in 2020 instead of what we got. It would have taken much less than that to flip the governor and to flip said Ted Cruz's seat. I think Ted Cruz's seat was as low as like 6 to 8%. Wow. If you adjust, if 6 to 8% of the people who said, the Democrats who registered and said they were going to vote had showed up, that didn't show up, we would have had a different senator at the very least. So even these states where they do poll solidly ahead, what actually matters the most is voter enthusiasm. And the hope is that with down ballot initiatives like abortion and like legal weed, maybe even Florida, which is polling, again, 4% ahead, where you have 49 to 45%, meaning that some percent of people have actually said, 6% have said some other choice between the two of them. So you potentially have that base, or rather that sliver that you can pull from, who I guess were maybe RFK voters or saying they're going to vote third party, right, and whatever. You could potentially pull from them. I don't know. I'm really hoping, because if somehow she pulls off Florida, then you have to win so few states. Right. It would be so much easier. In fact, I'm going to pull up a map and tell you how close. Do you have thoughts you want to share while I'm...
Well, do you think that the debate tonight could play a big impact on the polls, or do you think it's just
that's where we're going to go
what
next?
we expect? Okay.
That's where we're going to go next.
No,
it's cool. It makes sense. It makes sense. But that's our main stories today are just about the debate tonight, and then updating people on the unhinged Trump stuff that happened this week. But right now, if you just look at the states that you can solidly call for either candidate and only change Florida, so you leave all of the other swing states out right now, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, don't call for either of them. That means that without Florida, Republicans would have 189 votes. And also without Florida, Democrats would have 226. So if they actually pulled it out and we gave Florida to the Democrats, that would be 256, meaning you now only need 14 electoral college votes to be president. You could make up all of that if you got just Wisconsin, or rather just Michigan, or just Georgia, or just North Carolina, or just Pennsylvania. If you win any of those 4 states and Florida, Democrats win automatically. Then, otherwise, you have a couple of states, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona. Any 2 of those combined would also win. Now, Arizona looks like it's starting to make a little bit of a move toward Trump. However,
go figure.
A lot of the other ones are looking pretty good. So if we do go back and we take Florida and we say Florida's probably going to go to Republicans that night, we're at 226 to 219. Then you have a situation where you want to sweep as much as you can. But if you don't win Pennsylvania, you pretty much need to win, I think, almost everything else. If you win Pennsylvania, everything's way easy. Actually, not even nearly everything else. If we can assume that she will win Michigan and Wisconsin because of the Tim Walz aspect of it. Right. Just winning those 2 puts her only 19 electoral college votes away from becoming the president, which would then just mean Pennsylvania alone would also get it. But you can make that up in the other states. So there are paths forward. Here's the thing that makes me sick to think about. There's also a version of all of this where they both get 269. In fact, the other day I'd figured out which state combination that actually was possible could do it.
I feel like you're about to describe a worst case scenario here, like the thing of my nightmares.
Do you know what's funny is it actually isn't worse. It's scary, but somehow not worse than if Donald Trump just won outright. So here's the thing. Let's say neither of them gets 270. Let's say somehow RFK still gets a few electoral college votes because he's on a couple of states' ballots soon, or someone third party just gets a few. Let's say that neither of them, or they tie at 269 each. If no one gets 270, the way it works is that the Congress actually picks the president, the House picks the president, the Senate picks the vice president. Now, if the House picks the president, unfortunately, the rule for that is extremely stupid. They do have to choose between the top 3 electoral college vote getters. So in other words, it will be Harris, Trump. And if RFK has even 1 electoral college vote, he technically would be in the running.
Sure.
But they don't do it proportional like the electoral college or anything like that. It's not by population. Every individual state gets 1 vote, and the first one to 26 wins, which means despite the fact that California has a higher population than Utah, Idaho. Well, I don't know if Utah you can include in it, but certainly Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas. I actually think you probably can include Utah, and you might even be able to include Idaho. That will get them 8 votes to California's 1 vote, even though California has more of a population than all of them combined.
I don't know why this still sounds worse to me, because I just don't picture that happening peacefully at all. I mean,
in that scenario,
imagine.
Trump becomes the president.
Right.
Now, here's the funny thing. The Senate then picks the vice president. And in a scenario, and it's based on the incoming, by the way, so it'll be the incoming Senate. If they can just maintain a tied Senate, which looks like they will at least do, they may actually take back the Senate. But if they have at least a tied Senate, Kamala Harris, as the current vice president, will pick the next vice president. But she will only get to choose between JD Vance and Tim Walz, which means,
obviously,
in a scenario where that is how the president is being chosen, perhaps the most likely outcome will be that the president will be Donald Trump and the vice president will be Tim Walz.
Can you imagine?
And then I'm going to be campaigning for something else. It's going to be called 2025 KFC carotid artery disease. Look, we just talked about a 93-year-old man got to live the best life. It's not so sad when natural causes says it's time to go.
Right, right.
When you are a nearly 80-year-old ball of cholesterol who has spent your life oppressing people, at a certain point, the amount of KFC buckets you go through, I am wondering how they haven't done their job so far. Me and Melania, again, only hoping for a very peaceful, beautiful naturally caused, or maybe he just resigns. I don't wish anybody dead, because I'm on a podcast and you're not allowed to say things like that on a podcast. I'm just saying
Jimmy.
that, let's just say that the odds are higher of a president dying, and it would have been even more the case with Biden. Like the odds of Biden having died this term were higher than what even likely would happen if Trump is president. So it would be wild if it starts out with a Trump presidency and ends with a Tim Walz presidency. And these are not things in single digit percentage odds.
Yeah, I like this story.
It would be better than if Trump and Vance got in.
God. I don't understand how Vance is not fired by Trump yet. That's an amazing situation right there that Trump hasn't even.
Pride. He can't admit that he chose wrong.
Yeah, but I feel like Trump hates him so much.
Well, that'll probably come up in the updates. But you can choose between. So the two stories are discussing the polls or the insane Trump updates, admin updates. Which ones would you prefer? Not the polls, discussing the debate tonight, or the updates from this week from the Trump admin.
Oh, let's talk about the debate tonight, because I'm very excited for this. And I didn't get to watch the last one because I was out of the country. So
yep.
I'm staying up tonight. I'm going to make myself watch the whole thing.
So a reminder, today is Tuesday, September 10th. Tonight on ABC, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will presumably face off if Donald Trump doesn't figure out a way to back out of it at the last minute, when he realizes how old he is going to look on the television next to Kamala Harris. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Doing a debate with her? I'm just sitting here going, like, I felt okay about the debate. I had seen the State of the Union, and I thought, as long as Biden does a State of the Union amount of energy, he can't lose. He'll at least tie, by perception. He'll realistically win based on how many facts you actually present and real arguments you present, compared to Donald Trump, who's just going to go, and frankly, I am not going to answer the question about how I'm going to stop climate change. I'm going to instead talk about how we had the cleanest water. The water was so clean. They were saying, wow, the water, it's so clean. Sir, this is the cleanest water. And yet, obviously he fucked that up. I feel a similar level of confidence. So, how did that go last time? But certainly Harris can't lose. I don't know how she could. And she was a prosecutor. Prosecutor. She prosecuted.
I think it's I saw that she, they did the coin flip to see who goes last, who gets to deliver the closing remarks, and then whoever lost the coin flip gets to decide which side of the podium or which side of the stage they're on or whatever. And so Trump won the coin flip, and he gets to deliver the last remarks. And I actually think that's great, because do you know how silly it's going to sound when Kamala says something great? She usually comes up with something, cutting and delivers, especially compared to Trump. And she'll probably talk about relevant things and broad things. And then Trump is not going to be able to help himself. He's not going to deliver some statesman speech. He's going to attack whatever it is she just said. And I think that's great to end on that note of him just having to get personal and him having to just be on the defense all the time. So
I think he'll just declare himself the winner. Honestly, I think if I have a prediction, one of my predictions for the night will just be, the American people have gotten to see, and frankly, you know it and I know it, that I have won this debate.
Exactly. Yeah.
And tomorrow, when you wake up, they are going to write in the newspapers, which I think still exist, that people are putting them in their heads. They're going to be writing Trump lost, but you'll know, and I know that I completely. What word did he use back in 2016? She got slunged. I slunged her, frankly. She was a very nasty woman tonight. But even despite her being a very nasty woman, I was able to slug her up and down these halls. They'll believe he's the winner if he doesn't say a slur. If he does say a slur, they'll make him their king.
Right. But they're going to think that he is the people who are going to think that Trump won no matter what are going to think that no matter what. But the people that are kind of actually listening and if you're still trying to decide at this point, I don't know what to tell you. But those people, I do think it's going to stand out and not in Trump's favor when Kamala says things that are exciting and hopeful. She's finally been delivering some stuff that we've all been wanting to hear from politicians for a while, like bringing us back to some Obama times. And then Trump I'm sure you're exactly right. He's going to declare himself the winner, and he's just going to look like a baby up there. And that will stand out to those who care.
He's also, anything she says that'll sound popular. You go, well, that she got that from me because she just said that she was going to do all of that. But when I said the thing about the tips, I was going to give them the tips. I have been giving the tip because that is all I am capable of giving my entire life. I'm actually 100% tip down there. And so I know about giving the tip.
Oh man. It's rough.
Only the tip. I scissor because that is what I have to do. I scissor.
Oh my God. That is a visual I never wanted in my entire life.
Ugh. I love you.
That's really bad. I can't undo that, and now I'm upset.
Here are the questions we could ask, and people, the different ways you want to contact us, leave comments in the areas you want, or whatever, however the hell that stuff works with podcasting. My transition from YouTuber to podcaster is going great. Here's what we want to know. And by the time you listen to this, you might, if you listen day of, you'll be good. But if you wait until tomorrow, as many people do, they listen to these on their way to work and stuff. Who knows? But what I'll be looking at, can Kamala debate as well as we should expect from a prosecutor? Remember, she is not, when it came to that interview she did last week with Dana Bash, I think it's pronounced. Their philosophy was do no harm. That's why it wasn't exciting. They were like, we don't need to blow them out of the water. We just need to not hurt anything. I don't think that's a smart move going into the debate. I think I think she should be accused of being a nasty woman. By being a bit of a nasty woman, lean into things so that they'll be racist about it. Yeah. Right? Make them call you sassy.
Yep.
Because they're going to.
Right.
I'm just thinking of that what was Shirley's character from Community? Did you ever watch Community?
I didn't.
Oh, there was a point where the dean was trying to give her a character note for a play or something. They were going to record a video, and she's like, well, what we want you to do is that sort of as what's a word for a strong but also gives no shits, but also sort of lighthearted Black woman. And then it pans over to her doing an interview, and she's like, the word he's looking for is sassy. He better hope he doesn't find it. I'm like, that energy, do it, do it. Make them get weird and show that they're weird, show that they're racist, show that they can't handle a strong woman, because a woman who is strong, they're going to accuse of being a bitch.
Yep.
Do you think you'll comment on her looks?
Right. They'll lean into all the identity stuff, and then she can focus on just being passionate about policies and actual things that matter here. And then she doesn't even have to pull the whole I'm a woman and all this, that's just not even, she can just lean into all the I'm not a fascist.
Do you think he'll in any way comment on her looks, or do the she wouldn't be, like he said about Eugene Carroll on the plane recently, that even if she had been on that plane, she would have not been, the chosen one, he said this week.
I don't know. I feel like he might compliment how she looks, do that whole weird, well, he already has. He was talking about her on the cover of that. But
he was talking about how good the drawing was to sort of denigrate her, that they are making her look hot when he thinks that she looks.
That's what I think he's going to do, a backhanded compliment kind of thing.
Well, I don't think people would be so brave as to wear a pantsuit like that. You certainly made a very brave choice wearing a suit like you're wearing. I wish I was brave enough to not care what people think about me.
Yeah. I think it's going to be something like
that. Something like the type of compliments I've heard 14-year-old girls who are mean give each other.
The kind of compliments like that guy on the show the other day where he told me, you're so pretty, you can call me whatever you want. That kind of shit. Honey. Yeah.
Honey, you're so pretty, you can call me anything. Somehow I doubt if we'd even called his bluff. We called him out, but if we called his bluff and just started calling him, I guarantee it wouldn't have stood. He didn't want to be called anything.
Nope.
It'll be interesting to see who else who tonight has the most standout moments the things that are going to replay on TV. Because from the last one, mostly replayed was just Biden saying, when we finally beat Medicare, and then trailing off, and Trump saying, I don't know what he said. I don't think he knows what he said, which that was a solid comeback.
Fair enough. Yep.
Pretty much ended his presidency. He wasn't wrong. Ended his re-election campaign anyway in that moment. It'll be interesting to see what actually gets replayed and repeated. And I really think she has been practicing all week, apparently with a solid Trump impersonator, like somebody who can bully like him, talk like him. And there's rumors that he actually dresses up as Trump. Look, I'm not at Camp David, am I? Right? So how could
I don't know. I don't know where you are right now.
This set could be recreated anywhere. I'm just saying
Kamala could be hanging out if she wants, beyond the door.
If she wants someone who can do it the best, I'm reaching for the hat for those who are, if she wants somebody who can do it and give more than just the tip and whose bangs go way too long, I could frankly be at Camp David and take care of her. It sounds very sexual, and I only meant it to be mildly. We'll see. We'll just see. We'll see how it goes tonight. We'll see. We'll see if I'm still not convinced until he shows up. I'm not convinced he will show up. Like,
same.
I'm surprised they haven't planted more seeds of him not showing up, which maybe that means he is going to. He had done a little bit in the past. Why should I even go? You know, I've got a lawsuit litigation against George Slopadopoulos of ABC. It would be a conflict of interest, which I am only ever interested in doing when it makes me billions of dollars from foreigners who want to put money in my coffers and pretend they want to stay at my hotel, never show up, and they check in, and they never show up. The check clears. That's what matters. There is crazy shit going on, though.
I think he knows he has to be there, though.
How has nobody just put his picture on the screen next to a picture of her and been like, sir, this is how you will look next to her.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It's not good.
You look like the Crypt Keeper. Joe Biden was doing you a gift. You looked young compared to Biden, even though you're only 3 years younger. But it drew this contrast. You are going out there after, by the way, ever since he almost got shot, or ever since evidently his ear cuddled with a bullet, because we still can see no sign after
we don't know what happened.
Something is weird about it. I think I think it happened, but the description of the flesh being torn and listen, I spent a lot of my childhood in Florida, and in Florida I learned that there is a high population of Catholic Latin families who pierce the ears of their daughters when they are like still in car seats, like 1 year old. And I believe that it is the case that they go through a more traumatic ear experience in Claire's as these young Latina infants are going through a more traumatic experience in Claire's than Donald Trump did, at least to his ear. But the way his energy has been defeated by that, now my impression is becoming a little bit out of date because now he's talking so low and like he's so
a little sad.
Very low energy. It's it's sad to see he's losing all of his energy.
Yes.
And frankly, maybe it'll come back when he gets back on the Ozempic or whatever's been causing his little bit of weight loss. I don't know if you noticed, he kind of looks like he's not well. He kind of looks sick and like he's losing. And I know what it looks like to be sick and losing weight.
He's aging. Yeah. He's aging. That's what happens. So I don't know. I can't wait to see tonight. I think it's going to be good. Now somebody's going to take this clip and put it next to like something horrific. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be terrible.
You could do worse with different things we've done.
That's true. But I think it's going to be good for Kamala.
Contrast.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Kamala. Yep. And I like that you actually say it right. Even people on our side keep saying Kamala. And I'm like, how do you get to join in the conversations where we point out that it's low key kind of racist to not even try to say it right? And you're going to point that out when they do it, but you're not doing it. It's not hard to remember. Comma, like the icon, Kamala.
Right.
Kamala Harris.
Oh, nice. You rewrote the song. That's really good.
Done and done. I also find it annoying that we even call this a debate. Anything Trump does, he
right.
It's not debating. It isn't debating.
Not at all.
And we'll see what clips. I really hate that clip is the one that dominated. When we beat, not a joke, I'm serious. When we finally beat Medicare. That was Biden on his way out. That night, the craziest thing that was happening was Trump pretending he's this incredible athlete, talking about how good he is at golf and with his brain and his swing. And I know you swing, and I said we could do it anytime. I'll do it anytime, but you have to carry your own golf bag. I'm happy to. You just got to carry your own bag. I feel like I'm finally starting to get him down. You're good at that
impression too, yeah.
Finally, I'm starting to get him down as it's becoming not important anymore.
Oh, man.
Damn it. God damn it. I couldn't do it for the last 4 years, and now it's starting to come together.
Now it's here.
I'm serious. Not a joke. All right, we're going to go through these quickly because we're going to wrap up the show. The updates from this week are bananas from the Trump campaign. First of all, there are videos resurfacing right now. So this didn't happen this week, but they're becoming more popularized, where JD Vance confirmed that were he the person who was the vice president in 2020, he would have tried to do the alternate slate of electors things and would have tried to overturn the election. He would have done what Mike Pence was not brave enough to do. He would have tried to do it. But on top of that, this insane thing that both Trump and JD Vance were trying to spread, which is that Haitian migrants in Ohio are eating people's pets, that they're stealing their pets and eating them. This from CNN. Several prominent Republicans, including the party's vice presidential nominee, Senator JD Vance, promoted false claims on Monday that Haitian immigrants in Ohio are killing and eating family pets. It's the latest turn in a campaign that's increasing. Okay, we can skip all of the editorializing. President Trump will deport migrants who eat pets, a Trump campaign account posted to X. Kamala Harris will send them to your town. Make your choices. Literally, the brown people are going to eat Fido, and Harris wants to do it.
Jesus Christ. Ted
Cruz posted a meme showing two kittens embracing. Text overlaid on the image read, "Please vote for Trump so Haitian immigrants don't eat us."
That is infuriating. The depths they have to crawl to try to dig up something to make some sort of case about. These are the people that rail against veganism all the time, too. That's right. Extra hilarious. People that are actually trying to look out for animals, they constantly refer to in a derogatory way. But now they found like some weird thing and are harping on it.
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, I mean, no, they don't care. It literally, so a spokesperson for the city of Springfield said there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community. None of that is true. It's just a thing that they're making up. It's just a way that they are being racist. And the defense from the campaign was, well, our constituents, after the initial story was put somewhere, have been messaging about how worried they are about it. And so we're going to consult with them and their worries. Literally saying, yeah, a bunch of
we don't care
people,
if it's true.
They didn't even say that they thought it was true, just that they were worried about hearing the story was true. I feel
like somebody on the Trump admin was checking their Facebook and there was one of those like, share this in the next 3 hours or bad luck for life. Yeah. Look what's happening in Ohio. These pets are being like one of those. And they're like, guys, I found the thing. It's happening. We need to address this.
It's happening. With non-confirmable evidence, these things that allegedly are happening, no photos, no videos, just the Haitian immigrants. These people are fucking disgusting. It's just so clearly, obviously, and overtly racist. And yet you get all these people who are going on the news trying to defend him. Just like, well, people are worried about this and nobody's talking about it. Trump also this week did an event where he was asked about making childcare more affordable. And I just want to point out that for a while, I'm going to take a little sippy sip. I'll cover it, though. I'll use some distracting audio to take a nice sip. Here we go.
Jimmy, I love you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. This was from that event. I'm going to read it off because it's kind of long. So strap in. I just want to point out that Joe Biden would kind of trail off and stutter, and people would say he's not cognizant. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Clearly he has dementia. In response to what will you do to make childcare more affordable? This was his answer. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that because look, childcare is childcare. Couldn't, there's something, you have it in this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll be used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into this country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any number that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions that I told you about on waste and fraud and all of the other things that are going on in our country, because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare, but those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth, but growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be taking trillions of dollars, and as much as childcare is talking about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kinds of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that it can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help the other people, but we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about America, make America great again. We have to do it because right now we're a failing nation, so we'll take care of it. Thank you. Very good question. Thank you.
Oh my God, that's painful. Did you hear him recently talking about how he does that? He's like, the news likes to say that I ramble, but I have friends that are, what was he saying? They're like English professors. Yeah, English professors that are like, wow, this guy is incredible. He's brilliant. The way
you went on all those tangents and then you brought them all together beautifully. At the end, you brought them all together.
Yeah, he's like, you go over here, you do this, and you go over here. Like, even him describing it was like this weird tangent, and then he's like, and then I bring them back together, and
then the Haitian immigrants, they are eating, and the English professors were saying that you brought that in together so beautifully, frankly, and because I do nuclear, because my uncle was at a place, it's called MIT, and I understand nuclear. I get it.
Man, rough.
Also this week, it was hilarious to watch Kimberly Guilfoyle, who, what a weird life she has. Literally used to be married to Governor Gavin Newsom, is now the, I think, fiance, but at least girlfriend to Donald Trump Jr. Some physical transformations in there as well. Her face looks a bit like a deflated trash bag. I don't know if you've seen it recently. I don't know why people choose to do that. Listen, things that are outside of people's control, I'm going to try to avoid to a degree. Fascist, I don't really give a shit. But I tried it, but she chose to make her face that way. She went and picked it off the menu.
Maybe.
And I don't get it.
We can, maybe somebody else picked it off the menu for her.
I don't know who would pick that off the menu.
Maybe
it's
Trump
kind
Jr.
Of like, it's the one where
Trump
you like,
Jr.
can I
would.
get the number 19? I'm like, no one, what? I don't even know if we keep the ingredients for that. No one gets the number 19.
That's
okay. Hey, go melt some cheese off of the side of a truck and then scoop it into like something and that's what I think the procedure was. They melted some cheese off the side of a truck. And you didn't see what I'm talking about before you judge. It's weird. It's very weird. They say we're weird. I've never been called weird in my life. Anyway, she was the best is yet to come person at the convention in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'll get off that, but it's y'all stop putting so much stuff in your face. Maybe it's just that she did so much that it all.
Didn't one of them come out with a music video this week?
That was Lara Trump.
Okay.
Yes.
I know. Yes. I was like, wait, I saw this somewhere.
I'm tone deaf, but someone told me this was a good idea.
It's really just not
it's
good
bad music.
At all.
Right.
Well, it's bad music. The video's terrible. Like, you would
there
think
are
with
good
that amount
Republican
of money.
Musicians.
It shows that you can't necessarily buy pop stardom, because
Right.
it doesn't matter how much money you have. At a certain point, people can just suck at something and money can't fix it. So
And
that's
this is
clearly
nothing to do
what's
with it being
happened there.
Republic. Kid Rock's an awful person, but he's entertaining and a talented musician,
Very
right?
true.
Ted Nugent's an incredible guitarist, right?
Yeah.
These people suck, but they're Michael Bublé, vocalist, used to collaborate with Glenn Beck all the time. I assume he's still doing the fascist thing these days, but ba ba doo doo, dee ba da ba. This is the music your mom jerks off to.
Wow.
But anyway, it's true.
Probably.
And anyway, it has her music is bad.
It's objectively bad, honestly.
It seems like it's created by AI.
No,
right?
no. It would be significantly better if it was. Yeah. That's the thing about people that have that much money and like yes people around them. Yeah. They have too much pride to actually, you could make that sound okay. Like you could make something there, but she's like, no, this is good. I like this. My voice sounds great here. This song is great. Or
she was like, they'll buy it no matter what I shit out. So who cares?
And then fair enough, if that's the case, good for her. But Jesus Christ.
Let's film this thing on an iPhone. No external mics. The internal iPhone microphone. She did a Jeb Bush this week. This is the quote. I'm here to tell you, don't lose hope. On a personal note, I can tell you I'm as hopeful as ever because Americans from all walks of life have had enough of the Democrats' decline, and we are ready, we are willing, and we are able to spark a new era of American exceptionalism. The crowd says nothing. She responds, you can clap for that. Oh. She had a please clap moment. Thank you for the permission to clap for that. Did you look her up? Because I feel like you really hated that I was she chose that face.
I don't want to see because I don't want to say anything mean.
Okay.
I'm going to let you take that role.
It
Good
was
cop,
a choice.
bad cop over
I'm
here.
talking about her choices, not her natural. And she was actually quite lovely before the choices. Pointing that out too. She was not genetically unfortunate. That's a reason why a hunk like Gavin Newsom married her. Just saying. Couldn't be her personality. Have you seen her on Fox News? It definitely wasn't her personality.
Oof.
Her personality is as ugly as, she is now.
Oh, Jimmy.
I'm going to get comments about you. You clearly made her very uncomfortable.
I'm not uncomfortable. I just am fine. Also, I haven't seen the photo. I'm not going to look because then I don't have to say anything. It's great.
I'm going to text you it after. That'll be our little secret. Another crazy thing. Trump has repeated his claim that children are going to school and coming back transitioned by surgery. And that is where the beginning of that story is where this little soundbite comes from.
Jimmy, I love you so much.
You know, you got a kid, you send him to school. Jimmy, I love you so much. And then they come back a few days later and they have had a surgery and they are completely tranced and they are going, what the hell is going on? He is repeating the absolute impossible lie that without parents' consent, kids are going to school and coming back days later, surgically transitioned.
Right. Teachers are asking for like pencils and paper to be sent because the schools can't supply it, but they're providing surgery for these kids at school.
When I was in high school, I still had to get permission slips signed we would go to a lake right by the school to learn to kayak during PE. And then we would walk the like little foresty area next to the school as part of PE. It was like hiking in one segment and learning to kayak in another one. And those required permission slips. But if I want to by the way, no signs of it so far, no social transit. Jimmy, I love you so much. And then they are coming back. And it's funny because you could tell he was trying to think of a girl's name. Then they're coming back as a Mariah or a Jamie, but he clearly couldn't think of it. So he just doesn't. He's like, and then they're coming back, transitioned, and they are. Can you not think of one woman's name besides? I mean, maybe you could only think of Melania's name, the woman who he wishes didn't hate him because she clearly hates him now. It's so obvious.
Forbidden love story. Tragic.
It's only forbidden in that he can't get her to consent anymore. It's forbidden by law, and now people are paying attention to that. So
now people care.
Not going to be protected by a statute of limitations this time, old Old Dottie boy. Trump also promised that Robert Kennedy Jr. will be heavily involved in the medical decisions of his administration, will be on the council, if not the head of such a thing. They also tried to use the campaign to paint that Walz was lying about who his dog Scout was because he used the name Scout in 2 different posts years apart, but it was a different dog. But the one where they were saying clearly it's a lie, he was talking about how he was at a dog park with his dog Scout, but in the picture he's playing with one of the other dogs at the dog park. And they were trying to like, so if he is willing to lie about his dog and who his dog, does he even have a dog? Frankly, I don't know. At the same, by the way, he also started, he keeps slipping on Elon Musk's name. Most recently he called him Leon Musk. That was pretty good. And then he posted that he would like to modify the 25th Amendment, making it possible to remove a vice president.
I bet he does. I bet he wants to do that.
If they fail to remove somebody using the 25th Amendment that should have been removed, which hilarious because Donald Trump should have been removed under the 25th Amendment in 2020 when he tried to overturn the election, which would have meant that either he or Pence or both of them would have had to have gone, which would have made Nancy Pelosi the president. Alternative universes that are happier than ours. You ever think about those?
I try not to because there's
there's a lot of weird ones. If the multiverse really exists and all possibilities are accounted for,
sure.
Both of us are married to Donald Trump in some universes.
Oof.
And are happy.
That's really a horrific thing to say out loud.
I hate those.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
So I am committing to not marrying Donald Trump in this reality because I've already done it in the other ones. Y'all. Don't worry about it.
This is the one where you change. You change the storyline.
I'm not going to be selfish. I've already, in how many millions of universes am I married to that guy? And the configurations of those relationships, again, every physical possibility accounted for. So me is top, me is bottom.
You've thought about this way too much.
There are straps. I'm just saying, there's lots of, he's a leather daddy in some of them.
That makes the most sense out of everything you've said so far. So
I'm just saying.
Man.
All right, we'll close out the show. That's what we
leave
leave
you on.
To
end it on.
There is the potential that the multiverse exists and all physical possibilities are accounted for, meaning that you listening right now in some universe are pegging Donald Trump. Everybody, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Make sure you find Eve Was Frame and check her out on the line. This is Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast. Go to Jimmy Snow. Well, that's not correct. Patreon.com/Jimmy Snow. If you want to check out the after show, which we're going to record just moments from now, or if you want to always have the show ad free and the extended version that you get over on Patreon with that little bonus show, let's get the music up and going and let this play us out. I love this song so
It's really good.
Do you want to say anything as we go? You're allowed to outro too.
That was a perfect outro. I have nothing to add to that.
All right.
I'll save anything exciting I have for the after show.
I'm trying to wrap it up and now do you having a good day? Good times? I saw the funniest comment this week on the funniest way to write something. I'm going to guess that this person, English is not their first language because a comment was left under my last video on the line. Been a while since I saw Jimmy. Did he abandon some weight? Hilarious. Abandon some weight. Not lose some weight.
That's a cool way to say that, actually.
By the way, here's another wild thing that's happening. I'm going to be honest. I'm not having fun. It was part of why I'm saying I would enjoy having you as my co-host because I feel like our vibe together is also quite fun. Again, not a commentary on Eric or any other co-host. Just that we do so well together. It's just a commentary
on my greatness. Obviously.
I am not enjoying myself on call. Last night when I got done, I was like, I hated that. I did not enjoy it. Do you know the worst part is? I probably hated last night's episode, Sunday's episode, more than any episode I've done in a long time. The comments are all, this is when Jimmy Snow became president. This is when Jimmy did, this was his best show. Oh my goodness, his call with this, that's the best. Wow, Jimmy sharp as a tack tonight.
That's how it always goes, though.
The more I hate being there, the more they want it to keep going. I don't know what to do with that. Oh, I'm just going to read you something.
That's showbiz, baby.
I also banned Jackie from calling the show ever again, by the way.
Yay, thank you so much.
The reason I did it was I had told Jackie in the past, you are now limited to one call a week.
One call a week, yeah.
And he tried to, on Sunday, call the earlier Sunday show and my show. And then when I answered the thing and confronted him on it, he pretended he couldn't remember that we had that conversation, even though after we had that conversation, he tried to call back on future shows, asking specifically if he could debate the policy regarding him only being allowed to call one show.
Yeah.
Like, just tried to break the rule and lie. So I'm like, great, you're now banned from ever calling.
Yeah.
But it was time. It was time anyway.
He had a good run.
These are the comments of this show I hated. This episode was so good. Jimmy Snow doesn't play around with theists, my new favorite after Arden. Jimmy even knows how Trump thinks. I don't know what that one is. Jimmy Snow has a podcast. I like that one. It's and there's a lot of them. I'd say like roughly 20% of them are people complimenting my, like that's a way higher percentage than usual. Usually it's 20% of people just hating me. I don't know what to do with that because part of me feels happy and flattered, but I really do not enjoy myself.
I need to go watch the episode and see.
Oh, wait until you meet. This is Hank the penis stabber. All right, the music's over, so are we.
I'm so scared.